Good afternoon. I call to order the Knox County Optional Review Meeting for Monday, June 16th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Rawls.
Present.
Commissioner Durrett.
Here.
Commissioner Oster.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Russell. Here. Commissioner Hill. Here. Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Fox. Here. Commissioner Jay.
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
Thank you. As a reminder, this is not a voting meeting. It's for discussion only. We will begin with Director Snowden. We'll be introducing, we'll be speaking about the presentation for the UDO.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Chair Lady Oster. We appreciate your time in putting this at the front of the agenda today. We do have with us a team from Orion Planning and Design. As you guys know, they are the consultant that is doing our Unified Development Ordinance. We're excited to get that kicked off. We did a little tour of South Knoxville today, going to do some tours of East and West over the next couple of days. Talked a lot about the challenges we have in our current code and how they're going to address those over the next, hopefully 14 months. So Allison Malk is a principal with that firm, and she will be presenting to you today. And feel free to ask any questions of her or us, and we just appreciate your all support. Thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Allison.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, my name is Allison Malk. I'm the managing partner for Orion Planning and Design and the project manager for this effort with the county. I'm joined this week by a number of my colleagues. Robert Barber, who is a partner, founding partner of Orion and based in the greater Memphis metro area. Oliver Seabolt, who is a partner and urban designer out of St. Simons Island, Georgia. Our two planning associates, Lila Osborne from upstate New York and Johanna Tuthill, who joins us from Maine. And we also have with us our colleagues Alex Dickerson and Ben Bradford with Thompson Burton, who round out our team. And so we can go to the next slide. We are very excited to get this process started with the county. We know it's an aggressive timeline and we're hitting the ground running, as Director Snowden mentioned just now. So we are here to help the county update and modernize its development regulations and consolidate them into a unified development ordinance, or a UDO. It's been quite a long time since the zoning ordinance has been updated, and you recently adopted the comprehensive land use and transportation plan that's going to serve as the guidepost for this update and composition of the UDO. The goal here is to streamline regulations to improve efficiencies and create a user-friendly set of development regulations for the community. Next slide. So as many of you probably know, the Unified Development Ordinance is the compilation of a number of chapters and appendices within your current Code of Ordinances. You can go to the next slide, sorry. And Knox County can greatly benefit from the creation of a UDO. You currently have these multiple documents that regulate development review. You've got inadvertently some conflicting regulations because of that we're going to seek to improve upon. You've got outdated language, 800 plus pages of regulation that again creates some inefficiencies and inconsistencies that we're hoping to rectify. Next slide. And again, those efficiencies benefit not just the planning staff and the people who are administering the development regulations within the community, but they also benefit the developers themselves, the constituents, the members of Knox County who are seeking to develop or do something on their property, creating a more efficient, user-friendly, readable code of ordinances is going to benefit Knox County moving forward, and also really serves to help align development with the goals and priorities that were outlined in the comprehensive plan. So I think I just covered this. I won't beat a dead horse here, but part of what we're also looking to do in terms of updating the regulations to reflect best practice and again align with those community values and priorities is to promote the type of development that the county wishes to see, that the communities said they want to see in part of the planning process, as well as preserve the natural features and characteristics that make Knox County really special. So we'll be looking at a variety of chapters, again, Appendix A, the zoning and subdivision regulations, as well as the building code, the stormwater regulations, roads and bridges, fire prevention and protection, and the traffic regulations to bring components of the development review process all together into one unified document. So to the timeline. We started this last month. We are here to kick things off officially. We just spent the last 3 hours having a really productive meeting with staff to kind of outline what the issues and opportunities are to create this UDO. We'll be conducting a fast and furious audit of all of the regulations over the next 3 months and coming back with our recommendations in terms of the reorganization and improvements to all of those aspects of your current development regulations this fall. From there on forward, the drafting process ensues. I would be remiss if I didn't say it's going to be a fast time frame, but we'll be drafting through the fall into the winter and early spring, engaging with stakeholders along the way, keeping you all abreast of that process, and really interfacing with staff significantly during that time to come back with a draft in spring to look towards adoption late next summer in August. And that includes as well the consideration of a new zoning map that's part of this process. So as I mentioned, we've been, well, as Director Snowden mentioned, we've been touring the county. That will continue this week. We have met with staff to kind of identify the current strengths and weaknesses within the existing regulations. Again, those conflicts, redundancies, things that we can easily streamline to promote maybe less than 800 pages of regulation. And of course, explore how the UDO will promote and align with the goals of the comprehensive plan. Our stakeholder engagement will be similarly robust to this effort. We will be meeting with our technical advisory committee and community stakeholders over the next couple of days to help inform this process as well. We'll be conducting one-on-one interviews and engagement with them following this trip and into the fall and spring as drafting continues. We'll be obviously coordinating with county staff and keeping you apprised of our progress throughout the next 14 months. So we've covered what's next in terms of our week. And I mentioned this fall we'll be coming back with our audit findings and a recommended table of contents, which will outline the restructuring or the structuring of the Unified Development Ordinance itself. And of course, there's ongoing engagement and updates to this body. So, next slide, thank you. So your role, the important part. You are here to help guide policy and decision-making as part of this process. We will be engaging with you. We will be asking for your participation in future meetings and workshops to help bring forward those policy priorities that were adopted as part of the plan, as well as keep us informed of issues within the Knox County community that we need to be aware of and address through this update. You will obviously be responsible for adopting the final Unified Development Ordinance, hopefully next summer. And we will look to you to be a champion for the vision in the implementation of the planning priorities as we move forward. So with that, I believe the next slide is questions. We also have resources. The county has established a website that we will be using to inform the broader public, to engage through surveys and drafts and get feedback. There's a mailing list. We will be having, again, some additional outreach and events as this process moves forward. And there's always a pipeline for feedback. So happy to take questions if you have them.
Great. Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation today. Well, they're not page numbered, but when it breaks down the combination of all the current separate documents, zoning, subdivision, stormwater, building, fire protection and prevention, roads, bridges, traffic vehicles. Which one or ones of those are the heaviest lift?
Yes, certainly. The heaviest lift and our biggest focus will be the zoning and subdivision regulations. There have been updates made to the stormwater and stormwater building and traffic, roads and bridges. So we will be touching upon those, but they're in a better shape, let's say, than the zoning code and the subdivision regulations.
Okay. And then on the stakeholder engagement process or the strategy, do you have a sense of how many sort of general public in-person opportunities people will have across our 9 districts?
Yeah, so we have scoped this next engagement when we come back in the fall and present the initial findings. There will be, I believe, 4 independent workshops that will work with staff to coordinate in terms of location. So we're touching on all 4 quadrants of the county. And that methodology will be repeated through the spring and summer months as we roll out the draft components.
Okay, so in the fall, there'll be 2 sort of shots at in-person engagement in the fall and in the spring?
Correct.
And an online component in which people,
Correct.
if they can, attend those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm asking that in advance to try to seed the idea that if people are interested in this, they have to participate.
Yes.
We almost always finish this process after years and years and years of work, and people come and say, how come you didn't do this? And we reply to them, because you didn't show up and ask us to do that. And I imagine we'll be in the same position at this point, but if the more we can do to advocate for people to get involved, perhaps the less surprises there are after the fact. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fox?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you anticipate that there would be any changes to the relatively new land use plan upon gathering all this information over the next, or is it possible that there could be changes to the land use plan?
That would be outside the scope of our work on this project. I think we certainly are looking at the recently adopted plan as our guide for the changes that need to be made, and that's something that we've coordinated with staff on quite a bit through the preliminary startup, that the plan is dictating, or not dictating, but the plan is giving us kind of our direction in terms of what the community would like to see.
Okay. And now, you mentioned early on in your presentation about community values and priorities. Are you looking to us to develop those, or have you already been provided an outline of what those might be?
Well, again, I think I would refer back to the adopted plan. That is certainly the visionary document that sort of establishes to us, who are not local, what those community values and characteristics are. There will, of course, be an opportunity to further define those as we start to get into what do we really mean by character, what do we really mean about, the things we want to protect, preserve, encourage, enable.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kind of piggybacking on what the commissioners just said, I want to ask you, when you said further define what the community values are, how much notice are you going to give the community to these meetings, and how much are you going to let the community weigh in on what their values are?
I mean, I think, sorry, I'm just, the community will be engaged through the audit and drafting process to affirm what we have translated through the adopted comprehensive plan. I think, again, that is our guidepost. There will be, again, multiple opportunities for public participation to check in, and for us as consultants who are translating that directive, to say, are we hearing you correctly that this is what you would like to see in terms of the regulatory framework to implement those policy priorities that have been established by the plan?
Okay, I'm just a little confused. Are you saying you're just going to look at the growth plan? You're not going to let the community engage?
No, not at all. Ally, do you want to?
I'll just try to add on to that a little bit. Allie Ketchum from Knoxville, Knox County Planning. So we will certainly be looking to the work that we did over the past several years through the comprehensive plan to sort of move this forward and look at those goals that were established through that very, lengthy planning process. And then in terms of setting those meetings and advertising those, I think once we get through this initial round with our consultants here in town and we get through these stakeholder meetings, before we know it, we'll be looking at scheduling those meetings for, late August, early September kind of timeframe. And so we would just start noticing those as we do with any of our public meetings.
Okay, so I guess my main concern is how much are you going to listen to what the community values are from the meetings that you're going to have?
Well, I really think that we'll be looking back at those values and those goals that were set through the comprehensive plan, and then looking to see how do we align our zoning regulations with those values and goals.
Okay, so you're looking back, right?
Yes, so that will guide the work, and then we look at how we align the implementation tool of the zoning code with what work was done through the comprehensive plan process.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rawls?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question around, and thank you for the public participation piece. As constituents submit through the submission portal, I guess, will there be is there a tracking piece in the feedback part, or will it at least acknowledge that it was received from a person?
Going to let Allie help with that because she set up the website.
Yeah, sure. So it'll go through the Advanced Knox website. There is now sort of a component of that specifically for the Unified Development Ordinance. And the way that we take in these comments typically is that it goes into a database. So we see what was submitted. It'll show up on the website. We'll sort of monitor that and make sure that everything is getting pushed through, and it'll be reflective of those comments that were submitted.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. And thank you, Allison. Did I hear you say that you had about a 3-hour field trip today in South Knox County?
Yeah, about a 2.5 hour, but then we had a 3-hour meeting with staff. So
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Will it be your intention to have these field trips, like especially in the west-northwest section?
We are headed there tomorrow.
Oh, excellent. Well, if you have any questions, Jim Snowden, I'd be your person.
Great. Good to know.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you're getting out and laying eyes on, and not just trying to, do it all from the computer
Google
imaging.
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you to our leadership team within the county for really pivoting quickly and getting the work going with our new consultant. And I want to thank you all for being here and kind of coming alongside us and continuing this work, because it is some of the most important work I believe that this county will do in probably decades. And to many of the commissioners' point, the comprehensive land use and transportation plan, that was a very visionary effort, and it did give us some great guidelines. But this is really where we will get into the weeds of things. This is where we will identify, technical improvements to design standards, so that we don't have a new comprehensive plan that possibly is in conflict with some of our old zoning ordinances. So I just want to say that I'm very excited about this work. I look forward to being an active and an engaged participant. I will do my very best to educate and really get out to constituents and let them know about public input opportunities, because it really is their time to voice those things. And so if I can be of any assistance, any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for providing your contact information as well.
Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it. Thank you to staff. I know when we did the Advanced Knox, there was a couple of meetings in my district, and so I would put out on my social media and kind of my sphere of influence. So I would suggest to commissioners do that. You all kind of have your own constituent base in your community, just let them know that those meetings are happening, and make sure as a commissioner you're completely engaged in it and not kind of last minute, because then that kind of really is a problem. So thank you so much for your time. And
Madam
Commissioner Hill?
Chair, excuse me, just one question. I haven't pulled your calendar up yet. Are these community meetings already scheduled?
They have not been yet.
Okay, I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm not trying to make it more difficult, but when you get ready to go into a certain area or certain district, if you could maybe ask the county commissioner if they have availability. I know that that's really tough, but I think every one of us would absolutely want to try to be at those meetings. So as much planning as possible in dates would be greatly appreciated.
Definitely.
Commissioner Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess it sounds a little redundant, but thank you. And to echo what Commissioner Hill just said, particularly in the 8th District, if you wouldn't mind to let us know, because there are a robust number of active Facebook groups
Yes.
who are interested in this. So if you're looking for, a good quality volume of participation, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Hope you have a
Appreciate your
great
time.
day.
Thank you.
All right, Commission, we are now going to go to the library board applicants. We will start in my district, so District 3, Miss Angie Gothert. Miss Gothert, if you would just come up and just give us a couple minutes, just a little bit about yourself. I so appreciate you being willing to do this for me, because I think you're going to be perfect on this board. But just let everybody else know why I think you're so great.
Okay, before I do that, perfect is a big word. Don't use that right away, just please.
And if you'll give your name and address for the record.
My name is Angie Gerthert. I'm a Knox County resident, and Gina is one of my neighbors, so she lives just down the road from me. So when she asked me to do this, a lot of you know me. I'm active in the community. I've always been somebody to stand up for kids and do what's best for them. And so hopefully this is something that I can continue to do that and be a voice and kind of help in that way. So, I'm open, obviously, to suggestion and any questions that you all might have. But, I look forward to the opportunity to serve.
Perfect. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just really have a comment. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to work alongside Ms. Gothert in several community efforts, and I just want to say that she's definitely a hard worker, and she has a heart and a passion for serving others. So I just want to thank you for stepping up and being willing to bring your time and your talent to this board. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. We'll see no other questions. If you will be back here next Monday at 5, we will do our voting.
I may not be in town,
Okay, all right.
so
we
I need
can-
to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Something's come up with my mom, so
Okay,
I may.
that's fine. We can
I may
talk
have
about
to,
that.
so just let me know.
Yep.
That's
All
it.
right.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you. We have the 2 District 4 that were up for the library board. They could not be here today. They'll be here next week. So is District 7, Miss Sharon Smith here? Oh, you are? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, come on up. What's your name? I'm sorry. If you'll give your name and address for the record.
So Lane Dukart.
All right, perfect. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine. Live on Arrowhead Trail over in Sequoia. So special thanks to Commissioner Jackson for remembering me from months ago. But yeah, thank you for having me. I'm probably a new face to most, if not all of you up here. So keep it brief, but originally from Kingsport, Tennessee, so born and raised there. Went to school here in Knoxville, then moved back to Kingsport, and we got 3 elementary age girls that were all born there. And then we moved back to Knoxville about 3 years ago. And so just getting back involved with some of the community stuff. I served on the library board in Kingsport for a few years and chaired the board for a few years there. Obviously a much smaller library community in Kingsport, but just had a passion for that really ever since we settled down in whatever community we were in with our kids. And so just feel very strongly about libraries being important and being kind of a key to a healthy community and educating, and then personally have a little bias with 3 little ones that are also very involved. So just when we finally got them all into school, wanted to get back involved, and this is the first place that I reached out to Shane about. So it's a place I'd be the most passionate about, and only have so much time during the week, and this is where I wanted to prioritize some things. So yeah, thanks for having me, and open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you for being willing to serve. Do we have any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Jackson, would you like to say anything?
Well, I'll ask you a question. I'll ask everybody. Do you have a library card?
I do.
Okay.
So,
Well, wonderful. It's a good
we've
place
got,
to start.
We've got a library about 2 blocks over from us, so it's easy to pop over to the little Sequoia Library.
Yeah, well, thank you for reaching out to me months ago, and sorry I hadn't followed back up in a while, but I had you on my list, so.
You did,
know.
so it worked out great.
All right. And Angie does have a library card, just so you know. Thank you again for being willing to serve. I greatly appreciate it. And if you can be back next Monday for the
Should
vote,
be
that
able
would be
to,
great,
yeah.
5 o'clock.
Cool. I
Same
think I'll be
place.
here.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you so much. All right. Now, is Miss Sharon Smith here?
She is not here.
Okay.
She had to take her mother to the doctor, so she could not make it, but I will say she has served on the library board before. She loves the library. She's very passionate about it. She reached out to me when I was first on commission and said, when am I eligible again to serve on the board? So she is just very hungry to serve on this board, and I will highly recommend her. So should be here next Monday.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that I think you and I just have one, so, in there. All right, let me also bring to the attention, we've got Miss Olivia Graves sitting beside Commissioner Jay, and we have Miss Audrey Zanders, I'm sorry, sitting beside Commissioner Durrett, and they are our junior commissioners that have come back. They love us, and they don't want us to leave them, so. They're.
Shailene is here.
Shailene is here, so yes. We must have done something right because they want to come back, so that's not a bad thing. We are still in discussion, so do commissioners have any other discussion items for the agenda? Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just quickly wanted to bring to you all's attention item number 45 regarding TTCDA. You'll see this on the agenda. We received notice from the Secretary of State that a private act was recently adopted that repeals the previous private acts relative to the TTCDA. So to take effect, Commission needs to approve this recent private act, and it will require a 2/3 vote. So that's why you're seeing it on the agenda.
Thank you. Commissioner Russell?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I have just a couple of questions. There were a couple of items that I didn't see numbers or the financial amount indicated. Director Holden, is Director Holden here?
Chair, I'm just wondering, and I appreciate your questions very much. Do you want us to start asking questions now, or are you going to ask for items to be withdrawn? Just a
Yeah, this is
point
just
of
to go,
order.
yeah, to go over what's going to be on the agenda for next week. Anybody that wants to discuss any items.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So you're not asking for specific item numbers then? Gotcha. Thank you.
Well, item numbers would help if we know what we're looking at. So, yeah.
Jenny Holden, Grants and Community Development.
Okay, so item number 34, it's a resolution for 10 contracts. And I noticed it does not have, most of our agenda items have a dollar amount associated with it. This one did not have a dollar amount associated with it. And I was also just curious what the purpose of that, and I'm going to repeat this question about 3 times. So.
Okay. Item number 34, those are contracts for contractors that would be working in our home rehabilitation program. So there's not a dollar amount attached to that. Those are contractors that will put bids out for small home improvements for our low to moderate income home repair program for homeowners here in the county.
So there's no dollar amount. Is there not like a cap that the federal government gave us, that HUD gave?
So that's an ongoing program that is funded every year through our HUD program. So this year, it's right around $350,000. And so those jobs, we do a competitive process so that we bid out the contract work so that we have a pool of contractors that we can use going forward.
But it is all federal money, no county
Correct,
money.
it is federal money.
Okay. So my next question is item 35, and it's ditto. The dollar amount and what the purpose is.
Oh, this is a contract for software that with our new older adult home modification program, which is part of our home rehab program. We have to have an occupational therapist that goes out and looks at the home to determine what needs to be done. And that's the software that she will be using in order to make her recommendations on what updates need to be done in the home.
Okay. Is there a dollar amount associated with that?
Sorry, I have to get outside expert help here. $5,000 a year, Commissioner.
Oh, 5,000?
Yes.
Okay, and then 36, I see that it is for older adult home modification, but it didn't have a dollar amount either, and I was just trying to I had looked through the contracts and I didn't see any dollars.
All right, let me go back because Jennifer just told me that I got that wrong. Okay. That one is the contract for software. That one is $5,000. Okay. The TransUnion contract was the one before. I'm so sorry, Commissioner. And that TransUnion contract is so that we can do credit checks for folks that are coming in to request services through the home rehab program. And we will spend approximately less than $5,000 on the credit checks per year.
Okay. Number 38. And it actually has the dollar amount associated with it, but I just kind of wanted to know what the general purpose was, what the general grant was for.
This is our HUD, our annual HUD allocation. That plan came before you all in the previous month for approval. These are the contracts for the agencies. We have a contract with CAC that they'll be doing homeless outreach. We have case managers that work solely out in the county. That's the contract for CAC. HMIS is our homeless management information system. That's the system that collects data on homelessness that we use throughout the year. And then the one for neighborhood housing, that's a program for, we do modifications, ramps, that kind of thing for senior citizens that, low-income seniors that need assistance, and we do that through NHI.
So it's a combination of homelessness and senior citizen modifications?
Yes.
Let me see if I have any. I actually read through the contracts, but I just didn't see the dollar amounts of these. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have on number 47, that would be for the district attorney. If I could ask General Allen or Sam Lee if they could approach, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon. My question is, I know Mike Hammond just gave the county a check for $1 million in court costs that were surplus. And a lot, I don't know the percentage, but a huge amount of people who come through our court systems are indigent and aren't able to pay court cost. And I know our fees are already high. I'm just trying to see why you all are asking for a $12.50 charge for all the cases.
So this is actually a corollary piece of legislation that went with the $12.50 that went to the public defenders. So the public defender gets $12.50, and that's part of it. And this is the other part where now the DA's conference will get that. And all the DAs will get this money. Really, it's discretionary, but I think the general plans on using it mostly for victim services and pretrial services. So we'll be using these things to enhance our ability to help victims navigate the court system pretrial, during trial, and sometimes post-trial. And then there's other things that we'll be using these funds for, like training. Also things for like procuring like a wheelchair for like some of our elderly victims that come to court that don't have the ability to navigate without assistance. So that's generally the purpose for DAs to have funds to use to enhance their ability to make the community safer. So some of that's going to be IT things. It's a myriad of things.
Okay, will you be able to provide us what the district attorney and public defender get now currently on all the cases? Because they already get some funds and are, that are collected.
Right.
So what is the amount that they get now for different services, whether it be victims or whatever?
As far as
I mean, how did you come up with the $12.50?
I think that was basically based on what the public defender had asked for previously. And they've been getting it, they get it now, and they've been getting it for, I don't know how much in the past, General? Yeah, it is a state law, but I mean, it comes corollary to the public defenders getting the $12.50. And I think they've gotten it for at least a couple of years, if not more.
So they've got it and the DA hasn't got it?
Correct.
But don't you already have like fees for victims and those type things already?
No, not earmarked this way. There are like victims' comp collections under the state law, but this one is more of a discretionary fund that the general can use for things. But I think the main thing we'll use it for is victims.
Okay, so if most of the people that come through the court system are indigent, how are you all going to collect that? It's just going to end up being a big surplus of things you can't collect.
Correct, and I think, as you know well, I mean, that would be something you would ask the court for relief on. If you're unable to pay, then the court can waive those costs. So, this is another cost that, like you said, there are a bunch, but it'll come after restitution, it'll come after crime injuries funds, and it'll be part of a myriad of different things that are there. And if somebody doesn't have the ability to pay those funds, then they can go to the court and petition for indigent relief to have those costs waived. But it will be taxed as part of this law to be part of the monies that can be used by the DAs in all the 32 judicial districts for different things as far as anything that would enhance community safety. That's the heart of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And I do want to recognize General Allen for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question about items 46 and 62. 46 is on the consent calendar, of course, and I guess I'm asking Commissioner Durrett if she could just explain whether 46 is supposed to work in conjunction with 62. I'd like to have discussion on these two items.
Sure, Commissioner Fox, yes, that's exactly the intent, is for this to come in, provide, because the ordinance, item number 62, does not really have anything to take effect in the interim of January 1, 2026, this would then take that, I guess basically July 1 through December 31, and put a plan in place until, if the ordinance were to pass, the sheriff would take it over on January 1, 2026.
Okay. Was that crafted in conjunction with the mayor, with the staff, or is that?
I have worked with the mayor's office. I've also worked with the law department to ensure that what we are doing doesn't violate the current private act. If in fact, we've gone through all the legal requirements to make sure. And yes, I did bounce some ideas off the mayor's ear and his staff to see what would be best in this situation.
Is there somebody from the staff here could talk about that a little bit?
Dwight Vanderbilt, Knox County Mayor's Office.
Hi, Director or Chief of Staff Vanderbilt. So what is the staff's or the mayor's position on the interplay of these two items?
Well, just to echo Commissioner Fox, what Commissioner Durrett said, these, and to your point, these are essentially companion pieces.
Okay.
Should the emergency ordinance pass, then the Board of Trustees that currently exists dissolves. And so there's no clear framework for administration of the juvenile detention facility or juvenile services center. So this would create a framework under which the commission would create a 5-member board of directors. They would have administrative oversight, would authorize the mayor to retain an interim superintendent, and then the sheriff would assume jurisdiction or operation of the Juvenile Services Center effective January 1. That is all based on a series of conversations between the mayor's office, the sheriff's office, and the Department of Children's Services. It is a big step for the sheriff to take on this responsibility. It is not a statutory responsibility of the sheriff, so it's discretionary to him, but he has agreed to do it, and we greatly appreciate that. But because he doesn't currently work in this space, he feels like he needs around 6 months to assess what working in juvenile space looks like and how it differs from working in the adult space, to recruit and hire and train additional staff. He'll retain all the staff there that he can, but he'll probably, there are 10 vacancies existing now, so he'd like to fill those, recruit, train, and staff those positions, and in about 6 months just to get ready to take the facility on January 1st.
Okay. All right. So is there going to be any holdover from, I guess I'm asking you or Commissioner Durrett, is there going to be holdover of any staff at all from the current?
Oh, yes, sir. Certainly, I would think the majority of the operational staff would stay. Certainly, we would hope so. It's an interesting organizational structure, Commissioner Fox. There are really only 2 administrative staff, the superintendent and the assistant superintendent. They are retiring. You know, beyond that, there's a nursing position, an IT position, cooks, and the bulk of the staff are correctional officers. So we would anticipate that the majority of those would stay, but the superintendent has been there 53 years. He has vast institutional knowledge, but is the only person with that institutional knowledge. And the deputy superintendent or assistant superintendent does all of the back office functions, ordering food, payroll, hiring, HR. And so we think it's important to get somebody started as early as possible, preferably July 1st. That lets this interim person have a month in place with the existing administrative staff, those 2 persons, such that when they do retire August 1st, he or she's had a chance to get their feet under them and be able to appropriately administer the facility.
And the reason I'm asking these questions, because I've received a lot of feedback about all this, and I'm trying to understand, the different positions that are being taken into the community and how this works in with these 2 provisions on the agenda. And I know that Commissioner Jackson, of course, has said some things publicly that I'm just trying to understand the lay of the land here, and how it might interact with Commissioner Jackson's suggestions.
Yes, sir. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the mayor and you and I are sitting down later this week, and we can get into the details further and hopefully a little more eloquently than I've outlined them this afternoon, getting late in the day on a Monday. But we'll look forward to this more robust discussion on Monday, and be glad to answer any questions in the interim.
Okay, thank you.
Let me also remind Commission that I called a meeting on Monday, the 23rd at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., so that's for last-minute questions. Everybody should have or getting ready to meet with Mr. Vanderbilt and the mayor to be able to answer all the questions that's needed. And then I felt like we needed a good period of time before voting to be able to answer anything else or ask any other questions. So that is next Monday at 1. Commissioner Rawls?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Vanderbeek, or Commissioner Durrett can answer this. In both of these pieces of legislature, how do we maintain oversight once we decide, if we decide to move to the Sheriff's Department?
I'll defer to Commissioner Durrett, Commissioner Rawls, but I would simply say, important for the body to remember that ultimate oversight will not rest with commission, will not rest with the sheriff's office, will not rest with the mayor's office, but it will rest with the state of Tennessee through the Department of Children's Services, Office of Child Welfare Licensing.
That's correct. And Commissioner Rawls, if you look up the language of the ordinance where it says Section 18-142 Board of Directors, Section B, composition, the Juvenile Service Center Board of Directors shall be composed of 4 county commissioners appointed by resolution of the county commission and 1 member appointed by the Knox County Juvenile Court Judge. That Board of Directors will remain throughout the function to this, okay, I'm getting the assurance of Mr. Vanderbeek.
Okay.
Throughout the function of our current juvenile services center.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you. Is there anyone from the Department of Children's Services that is here today, Dwight?
No, ma'am, I did plan to ask him to be here next week, but not for this particular meeting, no, ma'am.
Okay.
But that is strictly in all fairness to DCS because I haven't yet asked them.
And I do understand. I just wanted the commission to know that I did request staff invite someone from DCS because they are, in fact, the ultimate oversight body, and I definitely have some questions for them. Thank you.
That's why we thought next Monday would be better. Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, my opinions are pretty much out there in the public, and I've expressed them to the mayoral staff. But, you know, one of my biggest concerns, this is not an anti-sheriff or pro-sheriff argument, but we have an issue, we have an emergency, we're moving in, we're making a change, and we are hiring a temporary person to come in to get the lay of the land and then make advisements on what the best proper course of action is. Does it not seem that we are putting the cart before the horse on, we've already making the decision for basically the consultant to come in and tell us how to run this thing? This doesn't seem compatible. It says, you know, we're already telling him what the roadmap is, and we're telling him to go down this roadmap rather than actually asking him, why don't you tell us the proper way to set this thing up? What is the proper way of protocol? What is the proper oversight?
Complicated space, Commissioner Jackson. I guess, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, but we have essentially an emergency in that we have an administrative staff of 2, one of whom is the only superintendent the facility has ever had for the entire duration of its 53-year existence, and a deputy superintendent who does all of the back office processes 100%. And we have to try to keep this operation up and running post August the 1st. So it's just imperative from our perspective to get somebody who's got credentialing and experience in place to just handle the administrative side initially. Give DCS time to do that study, or excuse me, CTAS with cooperation from DCS, time to do that study, and then move forward from there. If I could encourage Commission to think of anything, we're talking about total of 24 months from July 1st to the end of the agreement, the first 18-month period in which the sheriff would run this facility, 24 months. I can't do math in my head, but I don't know how many 53 years times 12 is, but that's the number of months the current structure has been in place. So when you are unwinding 53 years of structure and past practice, it's going to take some time. So if I could encourage Commission to do anything, think of this as a starting place and not a destination. 18 to 24 months from now, this commission may visit this issue again and say, Sheriff, thank you for the work that you've done. We think that an NGO, a nonprofit, or a third party might be better suited to do this. You might be happy with the work that the sheriff is doing, and the sheriff at that time, because it'll be a different sheriff and a different mayor, may come to you and say, this is not consistent with our core mission, and we'd ask commission to find somebody else to do it. I can't predict the future, and I can't tell you what it's going to look like in 24 months. All I can do is assess for you the situation that we have in hand right now, and it's complicated.
So you make the argument that it's been 53 years under the same plan, but in a 24-hour period, we've made the decision to go toward the sheriff's department without having any community input, without having any experts from DCS come in to talk to us about who should be the proper authority to oversee this. It looks to me as though, to the mayor's credit and to your credit, that, we are moving in the right direction towards hiring a temporary person, but making a decision now to move it to the sheriff's department, I believe, is premature. I believe we could still affect the same thing by having the new board of directors and just having the temporary person in place, and then allow him to tell the board, or tell us, the commission, after also having, being consulted with mental health counselors and doctors and physicians and psychiatrists and people who are experts in this space, what the proper protocol should be. What is the proper path we should be taking? I just feel that we're moving too quick. And I just sent my son a text message today that there's only 11 Saturdays until football season. I love Tennessee football, and Josh Heupel is a fantastic coach. Rick Barnes is a fantastic basketball coach also. But I would never recommend Josh Heupel take over the basketball coach, because they are two totally different technique. These are two technicians. There's different things that require of each one. I just feel as though, this is premature, this is quick. We've not been given much time. This is like, oh my goodness, we have this emergency. You've got to approve this, Shane, or, the kids aren't going to be taken care of. The kids are going to continue to be taken care of. We have multiple options. I was told we have no other options. Well, there's lots of different options. My suggestion is to, we can still get rid of the board, put the commission in charge, have this gentleman take it over, but I would also have this board include experts in this field. We should have the sheriff be on this board. We should have a mental health therapist and a child psychiatrist be on this board. I just feel as though this is, I won't be here next week. I'm on vacation, so it's not going to get my vote regardless. But, I'm just not for this. I think it's too premature, and I think it needs more thought.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I would ask, what would be, if we didn't go with this, because I understand Commissioner Jackson's concerned, what would be a different option? What are the options?
What I would say about the overall circumstances, we do feel like we've had a whole series of choices, all of which are bad, frankly, because we have been in this position of having to make the decision under exigent circumstances. When it became clear, particularly that the medical care piece was problematic. If I can back up just a minute, Commissioner Lee, and let me say for the balance of commission, Commissioner Jackson, if we didn't cover that, I apologize, but give us the benefit of having done our due diligence to the extent possible in the time that we've had. Of the 17 facilities of this nature across the state, they are run in a variety of ways, but the largest number, I think 7, are administered by local sheriffs. Some are run by the juvenile court, some are run by the general county government, but 7 are run by sheriff's office across the states. And I think that is the largest single representation of administration of these facilities statewide. So it's not without precedent, and it's not unusual. Alternatives, one thing to make clear, because there has been discussion about this, I will say that When I first made contact with DCS, I had concern about where DCS would land and would they be helpful to us. And I can say uniformly that everybody I have talked to at DCS has been remarkably helpful, and I believe they're committed to helping us succeed. I've spoken with Commissioner Quinn. I've spoken with Sammy Mayfair, as general counsel to Commissioner Quinn, and I've spoken extensively to Mr. Mark Anderson, who's the director of licensing, and all have been very helpful. They have made it a point to tell me, two of them made it a point to tell me twice in the same conversation, just to emphasize the point to me that DCS will not come in and administer our facility. They have regulatory oversight. They will not take operational oversight. So let me establish that, because I wouldn't want Commission to think that's an option. To Commissioner Jackson's point, if we found an interim superintendent who was willing to come in for a 6-month period, particularly without any idea of where at the end of that 6 months the facility was going to go, you could look to a variety of options, I suppose. There are third-party private sector organizations similar to Core Civic, who runs adult prisons in the state, that can run juvenile detention facilities. I will tell you on behalf of the mayor, we don't like that at all. I mean, it'd be this body's decision, but you would do it without our support or endorsement. We don't think a third-party private sector entity should take over this facility. Is it possible to enter a contract with a nonprofit, say a Helen Ross McNabb or somebody? Potentially. But when you are working in what the state refers to as a secure hardware facility, where people are detained under lockup, it is a different type of facility than others across the state where kids are housed for either safety and well-being, bad home environments, things like that, but are not actual detainees. Within our population, these are detainees. When I was there the week before last, I think they had 22, 2 on furlough. Of the 20 they had in-house, 3 were charged with murder. So understand that this is not an easy lift, no matter who does it. It's not an easy lift for the sheriff. It would not be an easy lift for a third party. So I would want to emphasize that. So I guess, Commissioner Lee, if that helps, those are our options. I don't think there are many, but those are the ones that we see at this point.
So if I understand what you're saying, we really don't have a viable option because we have to have somebody in place immediately, correct?
We do. We feel some sense of urgency about having somebody in place July 1st because we really would like to get that full month before Mr. Bean and Kay McLean depart and take all that institutional knowledge with them. We really would like to have a chance to get a handle on the systems and processes and personnel and all of those things in order to get a successful start.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I am glad that we're having this conversation today so that Commissioner Jackson can participate. And I was going to ask the question that you just answered a minute ago is, what does everybody else do? But I am interested in particular with what the other larger counties do, because I think they probably handle things differently than a small rural county. And so we would be more likely to adopt a system like theirs. So do you know what the bigger counties do?
At this point, I don't have it. If I did have it committed to mental inventory, Commissioner Fox, it's left me. I'll round it up before we meet this week. Okay. I remember the aggregate numbers, but that's about all I can recollect at this point. Okay. But I'll tell you, we have a bit of an assessment from CTAS, and we have some third-party research we gleaned as well, and we'll share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Van de Veit, thank you for your tireless work on this.
Thank you.
I want to remind everybody that because we discussed it at this meeting, it's not necessarily pulled from the consent, so you must request something to be pulled from the consent, and I prefer that you do that on the forum, okay? Do we have any other, Commissioner Hill?
Are we moving on from
Yes.
Commissioner Fox for now, or are we moving on from that one? Okay, thank you very much. Just quickly, D.A. Lee, come tell me something good, because I really want to hear about the money that you might be getting for a victims coordinator.
Yes, Commissioner Hill, this is item number 44.
44, yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
25-6-801. So this is a grant that we currently have in place through the county. We've had this grant since, let's see.
So while you're looking it up, this particular person is already in place and doing this responsibility?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, ma'am.
good, good.
We've had this grant
Okay.
since 2017.
Great.
And there is somebody in the position now. We thought we were going to lose this grant when all the things happened earlier this year, but it turned out that they're going to renew the grant for another year. But there is a change in the amendment that allows like an auditing period for the county, because really the grant is to the county. We're just the recipient of it.
Okay.
And there is no match, so there's a grant and then the
Right.
state has the match. So
Great.
this person is assigned to Felony Sessions Court. She's a domestic violence victim witness advocate, and she does great work, and we're just glad that we can continue on with that.
Is, but to Commissioner Lee's question earlier about the 1250, charge, is this something that would, or maybe what you get is plenty enough to take care of her, but does that contribute also to this type of thing?
It could. When we thought we were going to lose the grant, we were trying to figure out a different way to find different funds to keep her employed and keep the position alive. So that could be something that we could look at if we came into that. This is renewed for one more year. It's through the Department of Justice, federal money. So we're hoping it's going to be around for a lot longer. But if it doesn't, then as Commissioner Lee pointed out, that $1,250, if it accumulates enough, then we could ask you all to approve a position if we accumulated enough money to support a position.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Another, tell me something good, Ms. Holden. We had talked a little earlier, I'm looking at item 32 for your information, and I'd had a question about Summit Medical Group being on this because they are a private provider, and just wondered what's going to happen with that money that they're getting.
We're very excited about this one,
32.
and I can't take credit for it. This would be Mr. Parton himself.
Oh, good, because I was going to need you next, Mr. Parton.
Oh, see? No, tell him about the Summit Medical Contract.
Thank you. Kevin Parton, Knox County Health Department. For those that were here for the AMR contract and then the study that the consultant done for us to get there, we know that there is a large influx inside this Broadway Mission District area of need and resource use. So that kind of got me thinking, what can we do in that area to try to alleviate the load that's happening there? So I started reaching out to various partners to see what it would be to stand up a clinic in that area, primary care, alternative destination even for EMS, ambulance services. And finally spoke with Dr. Penniman, who's very passionate about this work, and
And he is?
He's the chief medical officer for Summit Medical.
Thank you.
And through months and months of conversations, we got to the point where we were ready to present a contract and in the next several months stand up a clinic there. So we think that this will probably be one of the biggest impacts that we can make in the health of that population. And it will also alleviate some of that load and spread resources out to everybody in the county, effectively hoping that I can somehow touch 500,000 people.
All right, and I understand that, so really the targeted population is those, underinsured or our homeless population?
It would be the
or-
homeless population
Okay.
generally.
Okay, great. And this is the first time we've ever tried this?
It is, yes.
Great.
Various partners have stood up inside the clinic. It's been very difficult to maintain, obviously. It's hard to gather insurance information, identification itself. So working with everybody in that arena, I think we can make a really big difference there.
Great, thank you. And while you're there also, I have a question. I'm looking at item 42. And the term grant and aid funds.
Yes.
Is being used.
Yes.
And I actually looked up the definition. And it stated that typically it's designated for specific uses. Is this one, this money, have you already spent it, so to speak?
We have not. We get this annually from the Department of Health. It is basically, the Department of Health passes a grant to us in order to run all of the various programs that we use at the health department. So
Okay,
it
just
doesn't
the
go to.
general operations.
It is, yes.
fund. Great.
If you look back at your budget documents, it's the revenue source of administration.
Administration, okay, thank you. That's all, well, I did have one more question. I didn't know if Commissioner Fox wanted to talk about his item 61, the fluoride protection, or not?
Be happy to, yes, be happy to.
Okay. I just, I'm just curious about it.
Oh,
about,
okay, yeah, well, all
You
right.
know, why it's there, because
Yes.
it was something that I'd never heard any issues or complaints about.
Yes.
So,
Well, of course, there's been a controversy for a long time about the fluoride being a toxic substance. In fact, it's actually regulated for introduction into water, not by the FDA. You know, most health products are regulated by the FDA, or most products, you know, purportedly used for the, you know, for treating health maladies, diseases. It's actually regulated by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And, well, in September 2024, there was an opinion that was handed down by a federal court, and it was, there was a lawsuit between the Food and Water Watch Public Interest Group and the EPA that was filed under the Toxic Substances Act, which gives citizen groups an opportunity to challenge the use of certain substances, chemicals, that are regulated by the EPA. And that court, after everybody had the opportunity to prove their case, you know, the people in support of the use of fluoride being added to drinking water, represented by the EPA, of course, and the people against having fluoride introduced artificially into drinking water, everybody had a chance to put on their case. And the EPA lost, and the court found that this substance poses a substantial harm to people when it's introduced to water, particularly to young boys. And there are a number of studies that show an inverse relationship between the amount of fluoride that is in drinking water and the decline of IQ. So the more fluoride that's in the drinking water, the more children's IQs decline. So, and there are other systemic problems I've read about, liver, kidney. It's not a good chemical to be drinking if you can avoid it. And, you know, to me, this was the final kind of straw, I guess, when everybody's had a chance to put on their proof, and the people opposing the introduction of fluoride into water won. You pair that with just the civil rights or the civil liberties argument that people have a right to reject imposed medical treatment. And there's been an evolution of that concept, although it actually existed at common law, which, you know, goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. But you know, when the premise that fluoride being added to the water was good